Hey, I bet I can count this as a travel memoir for my Read Harder challenge. Sweet. Hey, it's Sue in the restricted section. Today I'm doing a review of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. This is kind of a Southern classic. It's set in Savannah, Georgia, and it is a nonfiction book, and it was my book club's pick for March. I've generally heard this called a true crime book, but I think it's kind of more of a travel memoir. In fact, I actually found it in the travel section of my library, which I was surprised about when I got it, but after reading it, that seems pretty accurate because there is it is true crime as well. There's a murder that happens, but it doesn't happen until about halfway through the book. Mostly the book is about Savannah, Georgia, and about the people who live there. And John Berendt was a journalist for, I think he worked for New York Magazine, and he just kind of became enamored with Savannah, and so he visited there frequently, and then he went there and lived for a little while, and so he talks about just all the people that he met there. A lot of them are high society people, and they are kind of, like, as I was reading it, I was kind of thinking, is this for real, or is he, because they just, all these characters seem like stereotypes. From what I understand, I think it's pretty accurate portrayal of the people that he met. And also one of the ladies in our book club is from, I don't think she's from Georgia, but she's been there many times. She's from Alabama, I believe. And she said it was totally accurate. And then, in case you haven't read it or seen the movie, there's a movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I do want to watch it because I had a few people tell me that they actually liked the movie better, although I've also had people tell me they liked the book better, so who knows. I imagine the movie's maybe a little bit more sensationalized, probably, because that's generally how movies tend to be. But and I also heard there's a transgender character named Lady Chablis, and she apparently plays herself in the movie, so that made me want to watch it even more, because she was definitely a very interesting and entertaining character. She also has an autobiography that I kind of want to read. But I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was, if you go into it thinking that it's going to be some exciting true crime novel, you're probably going to be disappointed because it's really not. It is more about Savannah and about the people there. It's more like a character study, sort of, and Savannah, Georgia almost is a character in a way, which I really enjoyed that about the book. And like I said, there is the true crime aspect, and I did find that very interesting as well. I won't say too much about that in case you don't know anything about it, because I didn't know anything about it going in, and I was actually really surprised by who was involved in that or in what capacity they were involved. I thought it was going to be the opposite of what it ended up being, basically. So that did actually surprise me while I was reading. And it was an interesting trials. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was a little slow, I'd say. Like, it took me a little while to read it. I think it was partly because I just got a little busy at one point, though. But yeah, I really liked it. I thought all the characters were super interesting. I loved, my 2 favorite characters were probably Lady Chablis and Joe Odom, who's like kind of a con man, but yet manages to be a really charming and well-liked, popular guy. And I just found him really funny, and some of the other ladies in my book club said that they hated him, which I was like, oh yeah, if I met him in real life and he like screwed me over, I get that, but I thought he was a really entertaining, fun character to read about. But it did I will say, it kind of made me want to go to Savannah, Georgia, even though, I mean, this is set in the 80s. I don't think I mentioned that. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning, but this happened in the 80s. He mentions a lot of stuff about how, racism was still quite prevalent, and Lady Chablis, one thing I found really an interesting thing she said at one point was that she was more afraid to walk down the street with her white boyfriend than she was because of the fact that she was transgender, which they never use the term transgender, but she says that she's not a man. I mean, she was born a male, but she says, no, I'm not a man, she's a woman. Yeah, I found that really interesting, that it was, you know, more looked down upon and more dangerous for a black person to be dating a white person than it was for someone to be openly transgender or openly gay. And there's more interesting things about sexuality in here as well, because one of the characters is revealed as like having an affair with this young man, one of the male characters obviously, and the man is a high society person, people just kind of like pretend it didn't happen. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting commentary about, you know, what race relations were like in Savannah at this time, and also, you know, the LGBTQ community and things like that. So it's a pretty fascinating little picture of Savannah, Georgia. But overall, I would recommend this, but, you know, go into it expecting it to be more of a slow travel, like a travel memoir, I would say. Let me know if you've read this, what you thought of it. Should I check out the movie? Is it worth it? It's not on Netflix, so I'm gonna have to like do some work to try to get a hold of it so I can watch it. And that's it for me. Thanks everyone for watching. There'll be links below where you can find myself and Megan other places on the internet. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'll see you next time. Bye!